And now we're going to replace this drive ring on this big 6 Snapper Lawn Mower to correct this self-propel unit. And I've taken the side chute off and put on a mulch cover to cover up that blade so I can get better access to this self-propel unit here. And to get to this ring, you have to remove this bolt on the end of the shaft here, and this whole assembly will slide forward and I can get to this drive ring here. And that's a 9/16 inch bolt, and you can put a 1/2 inch wrench on the shaft here and you can loosen that bolt to take it off. And once you loosen that, you'll have to take this belt off. As you slide this shaft out, this pulley will come off. Good time to check all the bearings too when you do this. I've removed this tension spring, and there are 2 bolts to take out of here. I've got one here and this one, and we can slide this entire unit out and then I can replace that drive ring. And this bearing seems to be fine in here, as well as this little one on the end. Most times you see these, if they're bad, they've already been chewed completely out. So this arm I just removed is the linkage that pushes the drive ring back and forth on this pulley to make it either go slow or fast. Now we've got this 9/16 inch bolt to get out here. And with that removed, you can take this entire unit completely off. And that is the drive ring we're going to replace right there. And inspect everything as well. As well as the pulley, probably clean that as well. A little closer inspection of the drive ring here. Looks like the bearing's good in here. Nothing's torn out, so we won't be replacing that. Now we just need to get this cover off, which will expose this ring in here. And these 5 bolts here are 5/16 inch in size, so I'm going to take each one of these off here. And we're down to taking the very last bolt out here. May have to get a screwdriver to kind of pry this plate off. Don't know if it'll come off that easy. Oh, look at that, there it is. So that is what holds this drive ring in place, and as you can see, it is very worn out. See if we can get this off here and get the new one on there. Oh, here we go. That is the drive ring, totally worn out. Let me show you what the new one should look like here. And that is the new one. What a difference, huh? Totally worn out. So this should correct the self-propel problem. Now it's just a matter of doing this in reverse, getting this ring on here, kind of presses on, like the small bicycles that have bicycle tires, these kind of hardened rubber tricycles. Pretty much when you put the bolts in here, that's going to press it down. It's a big difference, isn't it? So let's get this plate back on and get the screws in here. So there's the new drive ring. You really want to go around and round and round on these bolts, tighten them down because you're pressing this rubber against the back here. Make sure it's nice and snug. Now let's inspect the self-propel pulley, make sure it's all clean before we put this back on. Still pretty amazing how worn this is. This actually is in surprisingly good shape. I'm going to take my drill and wire wheel and clean it, but you can see where the metal has just been dragging on here. A little bit of rust, but I don't feel any pits or anything. So just took my drill and a wire wheel and just smoothed out this pulley some where this new drive ring will go on. To smooth it out a little bit better, get a little of the rust off. And now we're ready to reassemble this. It's also a good time when you have this apart to take your grinder, the wire wheel, and just clean your shaft off, so everything will slide nice and smooth. Put just a little bit of grease on here, not much. Some high temperature grease. And we'll start by putting the new drive and ring back on and reconnect the linkage. Now we're putting the shaft back in, and we'll put the pulley on the end to connect that belt. Put a little bit of grease on here as well. And now it's all back together. We'll go ahead and check the grease in this gearbox while I've got this out. So the ring has been replaced, and the last thing I did is reconnect this tension spring, which keeps this drive ring mechanism tight down on this pulley. So you probably can hear it thundering. I won't be able to take this out and try it with the new drive wheel, but I'm going to go ahead and check the transmission grease in here while I got this here. And I actually have some original Snapper transmission grease as well, if this needs any. Looks a little dry in here. I'm going to add a little bit of grease to this. And putting a little grease on these shafts will make everything slide nice and smooth with your gear selector now.